Alright folks, today we're going to have a look at iZotopes Tone Balance plugin. For the purposes of the demonstration, I've set up a niche audio demo loop from one of their machine packs. And that plays like that, and it's piped into Cubase on separate channels, just so I can put a bit of EQ on stuff, bit of compression here and there. And that's basically it. So it's not a song, it's a very minimal loop, it's just drums and bass. But it'll do for the demonstration purposes. So the plugin itself is this one. It's a visual mixing aid. It's supposed to be for mastering engineers or anyone who mixes. I don't think many mastering engineers are going to use it. They may reference it from time to time, but I don't think they're going to be using it as the Bible or anything. And what we want to do here today is find out, is this a fake plugin? Is it just, you know, is it the real deal? Does it actually work? Because the truth is, there are a few plugins out there, I won't name any names, Hardball, that don't do what they say on the tin. Yeah, Hardball. Any chance for a refund of that, guys? Because your plugin just sucks, man. It sucks big donkey balls. Maybe it's gotten a bit better over the past few years, but it was a con back in the day. It analyzes your track and EQs it. It consistently made everything I threw at it worse. So, good job, guys. Good job. But there are other ones, I won't name them, but you should be skeptical of plugins that claim to make the song better or help you mix in some way. Is this one of those? Well, let's find out. So, here's the plugin. It doesn't have controls. There's nothing, you can't edit anything on it. It's a visual aid, and you would put this as the last plugin in your master bus, so that any processing before it is obviously being properly analysed, right? So let's play this little loop anyway and see what the graph tells us. Incidentally, if you're above or below the green bars, you got issues. And the curve that I've got, it's not an EQ curve, it's we'll call it an energy curve. What the plugin does, by the way, it's not really telling you that your EQing is wrong or right. It's telling you about the energy of the track, whether it's kind of bass heavy, top end heavy, mid-range heavy. So it's a guide. It's not like you have to have these white, see these white bars here? It's not like you have to have them hitting the maximum each time, you know? It's a guide, right? One other thing I want to point out before I play that loop. This is iZotopes' own curve, obviously, and they analysed seemingly thousands of songs, right? So this is what you get. That's the bass heavy, the modern. Not much difference, but there's a difference. Look at the green bars. You see them changing, and orchestral, which is kind of much more low, mid, heavy. That's the kind of genre orchestral is, right? So we're going to be working with bass heavy, but this is my own, a folder of tracks that I like. There's about 35 tracks in a folder. It's all deep house and techno. All of it sounds good in the car, sounds good here. It's kind of like, you know, I don't know if you've got a folder of your favourite tracks. That's what I have. I've been playing them for a few years now, actually. And this is the analysis. You can tell the software here, create custom target curve from an audio file or create a custom target curve from a folder of audio files. So basically, if you've got a bunch of songs, 100 songs, 200 songs in a folder, it'll analyse them and give you an average curve energy of all those tracks. And this is what my one looks like. So that kind of threw a curve ball at me, that one. when I checked that. So we've got the modern, which is kind of, look at the bass, look at the difference between the Mutant Tech one. We're way up there, practically out of the plugin nearly. So I've since had a look at that folder, and like I say, everything sounds fine, but there's a lot of minimal kind of stuff. It's just drums and bass. I mean, I've got tracks that got lots of synth lines and all that. It's all electronic stuff. But there's stuff from Chemical Brothers, Left Field in there. So there is some really good sounding stuff. But I'm going to have a look at that folder again, because I think there's some tracks in there that have obviously got way too much bass. And it's kind of I can't really use this. But on the other hand, maybe house and techno and all that kind of, you know, people are mixing that stuff very differently from pop music. So if the modern and the bass heavy is generally pop music, that might explain this. And I think what I'm suggesting is that I don't necessarily think all those tracks are wrong, the ones in my techno folder. I think that just the range of bass and treble, mid-range in those tracks varies significantly more than what you'll hear in pop music. If you look at like a lot of pop R&B, it's very sugar-coated mixing, sort of hi-fi kind of style. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not really a fan of any pop style mixing. So I'm not saying that my Mutant Tech stuff is wrong, but it does seem a bit high extremes. Some of those tracks will most likely have a bit of the extreme bass and top end. So for this purposes, I'm just going to use iZotopes bass heavy curve, which I'm fairly certain will keep you in the right ballpark anyway. So let's check out how this sounds.
Come get it. Come get it. Come get it.
Never do this at a break,
Come get it.
because obviously, you know, oh, I've got no bass, so before you know it, you're putting on 20 dB of bass.
Come get it.
So you want to do this at the loudest point of your track, or the section with the most information. I'm going to loop the section so that it's just, so that we're just getting some drums and bass. Where would it be? Yeah, that'll do. Right. Right, well, that's actually not too bad, to be honest. It's actually better than I thought it would be, because I didn't check this before I made the video. That's the truth. I was kind of hoping it'd be a little bit more like too much bass, or just totally not enough. But yeah, it's not too bad actually. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to see if we can add a bit more low mid. So I've got iZotopes Vintage EQ. I'm using it for no other purpose than I fancied using it right now, because that's how I'm rolling, you know. Let's see if I can boost this a little bit here. But in general, that mix is actually okay for me. I'm not a big bass head. I've kind of gone off of like lots of low sub bass, and even the records I used, I don't think I ever was. The records I released in the 90s and the 2000s don't really have that much bass. Later records that I've released have more bass. I actually prefer my earlier stuff because, I don't know, I like mid-range, you know. So even though by looking at that you would think, oh, you could definitely put more bass on, which is true, I'm kind kind of okay with the way it is. But we're going to make a few adjustments for demonstration purposes. So we're going to like look at the low mid, which is between 400 and 2000. That's quite a broad range, but fair enough. I think this section could have been split into two, and this one. But I guess simplicity is the order of the day here, and that's fine. Right, push this up a bit. Right, so we're going to be looking at this area between 400 Hz and 2K. And I'm going to try and boost it a little bit. So, right, I have not actually used this plugin. I just got the iZotope stuff. Right, so it's going to have to be low mid then. It only goes up to 1K, fair enough. And it's going to have to be a little bit of high mid as well. Okay, obviously too much there. Oh, I'm going to gain match. Now, you notice with me boosting the low mid, did you see the sort of energy of the bass going down? And that's just what I think is important to mention. Like I said before, this is not an EQ curve, it's an energy curve, right? So I didn't reduce any bass, I just increased the low mid. But you saw the little white line on the bass frequencies coming down a bit. And I think we also boosted the high mid a little bit, but I'm okay with that. I'm a mid-range head. I think that's fine actually. Just down a little tiny touch. Now I'm going to increase the bass a little bit. It's probably a little bit low now, so 45 Hz, 30 Hz, it's going to be too low. I'm going to try 60 here. In fact, let's try 45 first. Now, obviously, the more of this I put on, this will start coming down because the energy will be shifting over towards the bass. And I'm not liking that. Not liking that at all. I think 45 is a little bit low for this track. So I've changed it to 60. I think 2.4 dB is fine. Yeah. Now, could we get a little bit more top end in there? I actually think this mix is fine, like that. Fine. I could start increasing stuff. You know, if I really wanted to get very surgical and there was more information, I most likely wouldn't use a plugin in the master to do an overall EQ. I would look at individual instruments. But for this purposes, and for a track that's quite minimal, this is probably the way to do it. There's only so much you can do with one snare drum. But let's see if we can put a bit of top end on there, a high frequency boost, a little bit of air. So I'm going to try 12K. I don't want too hi-fi though. Yeah, that'd be fine. I'm going to try a little bit more high mid boost. Okay, so
Come get it.
I think that's not too bad actually.
Come get it. Come get it.
Yeah. So, the plugin. Is it a fake plugin? No, it's actually very useful. This is ideal if you don't have a good room or your speakers are really small. I think this is a very useful plugin for anyone actually. Mastering engineers, that'd be up to them. I'm presuming that most master engineers have got a very good room that they know and the gear that they know, and they've got reference tracks that they use or what have you. But that's not to say they wouldn't use it for just, you know, keep themselves in the right ballpark. But I think this is more useful for just people like myself, you know, making tracks and not in the ideal room or don't have ideal speakers. I've got decent speakers, but they're not ideal. I'm currently using Bose 101s. I have a set of Opals, but my main monitors that I listen to all the time are Bose 101s. They're just tiny little speakers that size. Usually find them in the back in people's vans actually. So, but anyway, back to the plugin. Yeah, I think it's pretty damn good actually. It's when I first spotted it, you know, when I first got the suite of plugins, I you know, inserted it and I went, nah, because I'm kind of very skeptical of things like this. But I was working on a track and I was really having issues with the mix. I couldn't get the bass right. And this actually exposed the problem and helped me get that. I ended up having to change the bass sound, but it's usually what I would do anyway. But it definitely piqued my interest, and I started playing around with it a lot more. So it's not a fake plugin. It's definitely a good thing to have in your armoury. The only thing though, you have to buy the Ozone Suite to get it. So that's quite expensive. I actually think iZotope should either A, sell the plugin separately, B, give it away for free. Because I think that pretty much everyone will use this plugin and they're always going to have the iZotope brand in your face, you know. So yeah, my hat's off to iZotope here. It's a very simple idea, but very effective. And I think when you start using this plugin, you're gonna feel naked mixing without it. And like I say, ideal if you don't have, you know, if you mix with headphones and you've got a really terrible room, it's just going to keep you in the ballpark anyway. It's not going to be able to mix a track for you. So keep that in mind. You have to at least have the chops, the ability to mix in the first place. But even if you don't, it'll be a good learning tool. So ideal, but like I say, iZotope, sell the plugin separately. It's a lot of money for people to buy the whole suite if they really just want that one, or give it away free. I think it'd be a great ad. You'll be up in people's doors all the time. Decent plugin, worth getting.